time, weather, and always pass.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the week to the time of the day. It's time for the John P. and Jay Show. I'm John P. and this is
Jay all day.
And we are going to be talking with Dave today, who is 12 days in June, and we are very excited to talk to him. Dave is a self-described as a throwback artist. Dave Hulegaard, aka 12 Days in June, is a spiritual successor to the wide array of 90s bands who shaped his youth, crafting melodic rock songs with introspective lyrics examining the often unbalanced human experience. Dave has also been a huge supporter of other fellow musicians on TikTok, and we love Dave. And he's also got hundreds of thousands of listens on Spotify. And I'd like to welcome to the stage, Dave. One more time for me because I'm slow. Welcome to the stage, 12 Days in June. Hey, Dave.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Hello. So glad to see you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you all again.
Good to see you, man. It's been a while.
It has.
It has. You kind of disappeared on us for a minute.
Yeah. It's been a really busy few weeks, but productive. Busy but productive.
Well, that's always a good thing, productive. That's my favorite word. That is my favorite word. So today, rumor has it that you have given us, I know that you have given us a world premiere for us to play today. You want us to tell us about that song?
Absolutely. So I have been quietly working on my next album for the last about year now. And I'm finally getting to the point where it is just about ready to start sharing with the world. I'm releasing the first single off the album, which is called Silhouettes, on October 21st. But because we're all friends here, I wanted to use this opportunity to debut it first. So everybody here will be the first people to hear this song.
That's so awesome. Yay. Wait.
Woohoo!
Yay!
So without further ado, I'm going to play Silhouettes by 12 Days in June.
Times of my youth, but since we moved, I can't get back. I can't days have returned. Their silhouette stands, but I can't hear their voices since we moved away. We moved away. Don't ask me to live. Don't ask me to move. Mom and Dad said that we couldn't live there no more. I'll wave goodbye. I'll wave goodbye. I'll wave goodbye.
I clapped a little early, but
Whoa!
that was awesome.
Thanks.
Is that a double guitar solo at the end?
Double guitar solo at the end.
That's awesome, Dave. So with this song, like, are you recording all the stuff yourself, or what? Tell us about what happens with the recording of this song. Like, do you go in the studio, or what's up with that?
Sure. So all the songs start with me kind of laying down the foundation, the rhythm guitars, the vocals. I do some lead guitar, but when it comes to lead guitar, my skill set is just not where I would want it to be for the sound that I'm going for. So I enlist the talents of some really cool musicians all around, really all around the world now. I have a drummer that I work with regularly in Boston. I've got a bass player that I work with regularly in Nashville, and now I've got a guitarist in California. And I'm just kind of like wherever I can find folks that are the right fit for my sound. That's who I enjoy working with.
That's awesome. That's one of the great things of the internet, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. Jay.
So then, do you record it? How do you record it? Is it in the studio? Just the recording process. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's kind of a makeshift process because I record all my guitars at home using a DAW and a amp cab simulator. And then I ship that off over the internet to the drummer, bass player, guitarist, whoever else I'm collaborating with, and they kind of lay down their parts and send the stems back to me. And then I take all the stems with me to an actual studio, and I lay down final vocals there.
Nice.
Okay.
That's awesome. Speaking of DAWs, we have a DAW war. So, Dave has gone ahead and given us 3 ahead of time, so we can't guess from him telling us what they are. And the 3 that he has provided for us are Logic, Reaper, or Adobe Audition. Jay, I will let you go first.
Okay, but for those of you that haven't seen DAW Wars, this is what it is. First of all, what a DAW is a digital audio workstation. It's how you record. It's the software you use to record. And so what DAW Wars is Dave gives us 3 of those to choose from, 1 of which he uses and 2 of which he's bullshitting on. Not actually. It's just, for So we're gonna guess, and whoever wins gets to win.
So I'm gonna go with logic. Dave seems like a logic person to me. He's very logical, and his words are very fancy.
Yay!
And also the audience has voted for Logic and Reaper, and even one Adobe. So they're all up in the air about it. But I pick Logic.
I'm gonna also go with Logic.
You can't pick mine.
Yes, I can. We decided last time.
Yay!
Yes, we did. We did.
That, yeah.
So, Dave, which one is it?
So they start in Adobe Audition and end in Logic.
God, you gotta be complicated. So
we
2/3 of us are right. So we won.
We just win
High five.
because Logic is the final product.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we count the final because
Yeah.
we want to win better. That's
All
why.
right, then I go with Logic then.
Yay!
So it's recorded in Audition and then pushed over to Logic for the final mix down.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's very cool. What is your favorite microphone for vocals?
I'm a big fan of anything that Shure does. I forget the exact model I've got. I think it's the M57. Does that sound right?
Is it the one that's kind of like the broadcast slash?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's kind of my go-to.
Nice. That is awesome. And
So sweet.
it is a sweet mic. Someone was asking me what my thoughts on the mic, and I was like, I can't tell you because I've never used it. I was like, but this one's great. So sure. So that for anybody listening, that was recorded with the Shure microphone. So if you were wondering how it can sound, there you go. Because I know someone in this audience is. Let's see. Can you? Are you
what's
more?
funny?
Go ahead, Jay. Well,
Oh, I was just gonna say that I have an SM57 and I have a Rhodes. Is it Rhodes or Rode? I don't know. Whatever.
R0, the number 0, actually, because it has a slash through it. So R0DE. It's Rode.
You know, this is another. Yeah, Rode. This is a good time for me to point out, or it's something that I'm excited about tonight's show, and listening to that Dave's music is exciting for me because it like brings me back. Dave and I went to high school together, and when we first started writing songs, it was together. The first songs we ever wrote were in a band together in high school.
True story.
That is awesome.
Yay!
They would do songs and go,
Yay! Yay!
I have
mean,
to
this video-
give Jay the credit though, like because Jay was really the driving force behind the first band we were ever in together. Because he was super motivated to try out his fancy yellow bass that he had just bought. So you remember that bass, don't you, Josh? That thing was beautiful.
Yamaha, dude. Yeah.
So like I remember like Jay would come up with these really creative bass lines. And then like we would just have to immediately start writing songs around it. Like it was just they were so cool. We had to do something.
Oh, thanks, man.
so Dave and Jay.
So you still remember it all these years later. That's impressive.
Somebody in the audience asked if your all's band was called Now Kids Now.
Should have been.
We should talk about the names, though. We should talk about the names because the names are pretty interesting. Do you want to tell the story of the names?
Well, once again, it's Jay's brainchild that helped come up with the names because we were really struggling. I think we've been playing. Gosh, I think we've been playing for at least a good month or so, and we had a set, like almost a full set, ready to go, and we were just itching to get out and play live, but we couldn't play live without a name. So we had gone through, I forget like how many. I think there was like a list of maybe 5 or 6 names, and then Jay just shows up at school one day, and he's like, "It's." and we're kind of like,
Uh,
and he's like, no, but it has to have the ellipses. It has to be dot 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 or it doesn't work. And we're all like, I don't know about that one. Yeah, like we're kind of liking some of these other names. Like I think Drizzle was one that we had been kind of leaning in on, and then Jay was just like, nope, it's and so we're like, okay, if Jay's that passionate about it, then we're gonna go with because his vision was that we were going to get up and play on stage in front of people, and he would be able to stand in front of the mic and go, "Hi, we're and then just go right into the song.
That's awesome. So you considered a name for Drizzle?
That was the one we were leaning toward first.
Why does Snoop Dogg carry around an umbrella?
Why?
For Drizzle. For Drizzle.
Yay!
You're welcome.
But we did end up going with Drizzle after, like, I don't know who decided, but eventually didn't work.
Welcome to the stage.
Yeah, welcome to the stage. Oh man.
Okay.
To a Jay Chris show.
No, because I'm still with the conversation.
Okay.
So, what beat? Let's get back to the music a little bit. What are you a VST or do you have do you like using VSTs or are you more of a traditional instrument type person? Tell us about that.
I mean, it's a good question. I think I've always kind of had this vision in my head of what I wanted my music to sound like. And it really goes back to my teenage years, playing in garage bands and just kind of that feel of having the whole live ensemble around you. And so I've always really been particular about using real instruments. Like even kind of moving into the pandemic years and learning how to use DAWs and kind of like all the cool things you can do with it. Basically, everything Trent Reznor was already doing like 30 years ago, but I finally figured out how to do. and when I saw that like what was possible, to record from home, it really just kind of opened up this whole new level for me, and what I felt like I could accomplish musically. And then seeing that other people playing different instruments all have the same capabilities, you could do anything remote. And I was reading articles about bands that were essentially recording their full albums without ever meeting, just kind of on different sides of the country, and it really inspired me. So once I saw what was possible, it was like I can still have that kind of '90s garage sound that I want, and they can be real people, just that I may never meet in real life.
That's very cool. I love that you're working with people around the United States and different places and stuff. That's for anybody out there, you cannot limit yourself to just your location anymore. No more excuses. Dave is an example to show you that it can be done with people that are just everywhere that fit your style. Mm-hmm. That's really cool, Dave. I think that's a good way to look at things. And
So Dave, you're pretty much a guitar guy, right? So you have your guitar and you plug that into some pedals. Yeah, I noticed you like to buy pedals and stuff. So you plug those in, and you're not using the pedals from the software program.
No,
Or do you
I'm
use
pretty
those
much using.
sometimes?
Yeah, mostly all pedals. Sometimes if like, I don't know, I really like the clean tone of my guitars, but anytime I get into the studio, my producer that I work with kind of has different thoughts on things. He's a little younger than I am, so he's got more of a modern sensibility. Now he might like fuzz up just slightly, like fuzz up an acoustic guitar track, where I'm like, well, I really like that woody sound it has, and he's like, trust me, this is going to sound cool. And he's usually right, but it's like dragging me kicking and screaming into the modern era. I'm just kind of learning as I go.
sometimes us old fogies need that, though.
Right.
Yay!
So I wanted to ask you about your promotions with your music, and you are like the king of all of our friends when it comes to Spotify listens and stuff. What is your secret recipe? Do you have flour, sugar, promotions, marketing? Like, what do you do for songs? Like, how you get them out there?
I want to ask first, how many streams does your last album have?
I think at last count, Anhedonia was around 130,000 streams
Okay, so
for
that's
just Spotify. Yeah,
Making that
yeah, it's
money.
well, yeah, right.
is that like
Yeah,
Make it
as we all know,
400
Spotify's the best place to make money.
right. Making that cash. Well, 100,000 can
how does
equal some
one?
dough.
Yeah,
Equal a little bit of dough.
how does one garner 130,000 streams on Spotify?
A lot of
No,
luck, honestly. I mean, I think that I would be lying if I told you that I made a plan and everything happened according to it.
Sorry.
I think for me, like I really wanted Anhedonia to have the best possible chance at success that I could, because this was such a long time coming for me. I'd been really dormant in the music space for over 20 years, and when I finally kind of found my motivation to get back at it, and I had all these songs that were just bursting like to get out, and a lot of these were I should say some of them were newer, some of them were older that I've been hanging on to for a long time and just had never done anything with. So when I started hearing how they were turning out, it just really, I don't know, it kind of brought tears to my eyes, right? Because like I'm hearing these songs that have only ever been either in my head or just acoustic in my in my little music room, and now I'm hearing them with like full production and everything, and I just thought like, man, it's now or never. Like I gotta make a go at this, and I did a lot of research, excuse me, about all the different ways that are available to us as musicians, like how to get our music out there. I was very fortunate to get decent radio pickup in some parts of the country. I was very fortunate to get good press pickup, and very fortunate to get some playlist support. So each of my songs I pitched individually to various places. It took a lot of time and effort, but ultimately worth it. I think that getting to 140,000 streams on Spotify was beyond my expectation, and that's underselling it. I thought 10 people were going to ever listen to this, and I was going to be okay with that, and because I would be one of the 10. But to see that my music was able to reach people so much further beyond what I could have possibly imagined is just, it's so validating. It makes me feel like there is still an audience out there for the kind of music that I play, and I'm happy to have met people that I've met along the way. I mean, obviously Jay and I go way back, but I've met so many amazing people through TikTok, through Instagram, that are all on a same journey that I am, and it feels so good not to be alone.
That's awesome. When you put out a song, do you ever pay for your marketing for your songs or any of the submissions or anything? I'm just curious to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you put together a budget in the beginning and say, this is how much I'm going to spend, and let's see what we can do to make the best of that marketing money?
I think I have an idea of how much I'd like to spend, and then sometimes it winds up being a little north of what I'd like to spend. But I think
Dave froze on us. Technical issues.
all I did in Anhedonia. Oh,
Hold on one second. You froze on us. You might want to bounce out and come back in.
all right, hang on.
That was a hard freeze too. It
was weird, but you and I didn't move either at the same time. What's going on?
I thought everybody froze.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing froze, and I didn't move to see if I could have just moved.
It says that 12 days. It says that he's connected.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, it's connecting. There we go. Are we back?
Woohoo!
So where did Dave cut off? It was like right in the mid sentence of talking about the marketing for a song, for like spending for the budget of a song.
Yeah, I think the short version is just that I have a budget in mind. Sometimes I have to spend a little more, but I think that what I've learned is that even though I invested a lot of time, effort, and money into Anhedonia, and getting 140,000 streams is amazing, it's not sustainable. I don't know that I gained a ton of like long time listeners. So it's like, I'll probably reevaluate how I do things going forward.
Gotcha. Something I wanted to ask you, because you have such great stats on Spotify and stuff, has that opened opportunities for you to play higher paying venues and such like that?
I mean, I've definitely been invited to play more shows. I really haven't done a lot of live opportunities, but it has opened me to other opportunities I never expected. I just had my album licensed for some TV networks and
Nice.
And like movie studios. So that was definitely not something I had expected, but very, very cool.
Is that something you have to? Is that something you have to seek out, or do they come to you for the licensing of?
In this situation, it was brought to me.
Nice.
So that was super cool.
That's very cool.
I just had to make sure it was real.
You're like, this looks like a spam email. They're offering to give me money for my album. They didn't want you to pay first, though. So
Yeah. And then I've noticed that like having my music added to radio stations across the country has kind of I guess made me more accessible to music bloggers. So I'll get contacted to do like interviews or folks that just want to kind of review the album and ask me for art assets and things like that. So that's been really cool.
that's very cool. So, do you have a website for your music? Curious.
I don't. I do everything over social media. So I've been kind of using Bandcamp as sort of like my website. But
I'm just curious because some people use them, some people don't. And I was just with the way you're doing everything, things are happening for you and stuff. You don't necessarily need one to make things happen, which is very, very cool.
yeah, I think nowadays with social media kind of just reaching the level that it has, it's everybody is so much more accessible than ever. And I think about like reconnecting with an old high school friend was made possible by social media.
That's right. That's awesome. That's funny that the world kind of came back around. First band to now. Let's see.
And we have similar stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very cool. It's very cool to learn from how you've been marketing your stuff as a musician that's just now getting into learning how to market and stuff, and it's very cool for you to share that with everybody.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, start typing up your questions now. We are going to open up the floor to questions from the viewers, from our listeners. So if you have any questions, start typing them now. And Dave, what's your favorite instrument of all time like to play? Don't say guitar, other than guitar.
I know. Like you're going to make this really easy for me. I actually started out wanting to be a drummer once upon a time, and I had my first kit when I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old, and it just, I don't know, it turned out that I didn't have the rhythm.
You don't got the rhythm. Boogie, boogie. Do you play gigs like at all right now?
It's been a while, but I do have like kind of a live setup if opportunities come along. There's actually an artist I've met on TikTok. He performs under the name The Phantom Pines, and he's from the other side of the sound out here in Washington. He's actually going to be in town here next month playing a gig, so I'm going to go go meet him. It'll be kind of the first TikTok friend that I've met in person, and
Oh.
maybe talk about. Yeah,
That's awesome. Yay.
gonna maybe talk about doing some stuff together. Our styles are a little different, but I think that you know my live sound is not the same as my album sound, so it's a little more, I can blend in a little easier, I think.
Nice. I think it's one of the things that makes music really cool when it comes to a band is the blending of different styles. Because no one musician has the same thing, so when you blend styles together, you come up with something very unique. So, it might be very
True.
cool. Very, very cool.
Brenda
Uh,
wants to know: Are you releasing? Like, how are you releasing the new album?
Single by single, or are you going to do a whole album together?
So this has been the agony, I think, that I've been struggling with, and that's that traditionally, right? Like I'm from an era where you just put out an album, right? Like that's definitely like the goal. It's always to get an album out. But in today's day and age, it's really such a single driven business. So unless you're an established artist, albums are so much tougher to try to get attention on. And with singles, each one is a new opportunity, to get that out in front of like playlisters, Spotify and Apple editors, things like that. So I've at least got 5 singles planned, and then somewhere along the way I need to make a decision whether to keep going or release the album, which would be 13 tracks.
Gotcha. I think
that's
that answers
cool.
that question very well. That's so you're doing part waterfall and then TBD after that.
May as
I've
well,
got
yeah.
13 songs recorded, so
It's-
whatever happens.
It's a water TBD. I don't have a sound. So there was another question. What part of Washington are you in?
Oh, I am in the Olympic Peninsula area of the state. I'm in Port Townsend, which is a little Victorian seaport community, very, very small, very touristy. The biggest town that's near me would be either Squim or Silverdale, which are not big towns. But if you live in Washington, you're going to hear that and be like, oh, yeah, I know where that is.
So
Yeah, totally.
we have a long-time listener, first-time caller. How do you get your lyrics, and what inspires you for your lyrics?
So I am going to use this opportunity to talk about Brenda. So Brenda, who's a dear friend of mine here, she did for the month of September, did like a little piece of a song each day. Like she wrote something new each day. And I asked her the same question. I said, how in the hell are you coming up with lyrics for 30 songs? Like, how is that possible? And she gave me the best piece of advice I think I've ever heard, which is she just writes like every day, not even intending to be song lyrics, just writes stuff down. And then when it comes time to, sit down with a song, put lyrics to it, it's like she's already got like this emotion she was feeling on some day in the past, and then kind of uses that as her motivation to finish out a song. So I've now started doing that thanks to Brenda. But before that, I think that this is going to sound really strange, but maybe other musicians can relate. When I start playing a song, the words just kind of form, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
a line just kind of pops out and sticks in your head, and I may not even know what a song is about as I'm writing down the lines until I get to the end where I've written a verse, a chorus, and whatnot, and then I come back to it and I'm like, I guess that's what I was feeling today.
That's awesome. That's an interesting way to write music, and I think a lot of people do that don't even realize it. Like people that write music write it. Sometimes we all have different methods, so that's a very cool way to do it. Speaking of meanings of songs, you said when you read them, you come back and then you have a meaning for it after you come back and do it. Does that inspire you to rewrite some of the way you did things and the way you did words in your songs?
Yeah, I think I always come back to them before the final recording and just kind of make sure that everything that's written there still makes sense. Usually it's just like a word or two that I kind of stuck with because I wanted to get the song finished. But then when I went to actually record it, I'm like, maybe I still want to swap out a couple of words here.
Gotcha.
So yeah, final pass before it goes into the studio.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that closes our questions from the audience section. And before we end our show, we are going to listen to one more song by Dave. And Dave, could you introduce it for us?
Sure. So I believe we're playing "Hoped You Couldn't Tell," which is from my album Anhedonia. It was kind of the main single that I used to launch the album, and the one that really got the most attention when we were talking about streams and all that. This one is up to about 140,000 views on YouTube.
Wow.
So
wow.
by far, like the most successful single from the album.
Do you have like a video, or is it just like a artwork video?
I have an actual video for it.
Okay, awesome. I've seen that video. Why am I asking that question? Well, I'm asking for the audience.
Yay!
So ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for tonight. We want to thank everybody for coming, and we're going to close you out with crap. You couldn't wish you.
Hoped you couldn't tell.
Please forgive me. About 12 Days in June. Make sure you're following 12 Days of June. If you're not, check him out on Spotify. We thank you so much for coming. Today's video was brought to you by Walter the Cat t-shirts. Make sure to get yours today, and we will see you all next week. So here we go.
Bye.
I was just kidding. Here we go.
Here we go.
Green eyes and I see your smile and hope this never ends. If I wait for too long, I'll lose this chance to make you mine. And I blink and you're gone, erasing all those years, all those years. I know that I'm not perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on the John P. and J Show. Bye.